I mean, it's a whole new system of card counting that's out there that I talked about at the conference for a bit last year. And most casinos don't even know it. Most casinos still think it happens with a big player and a bunch of card counters. That's obsolete. That's obsolete. It really is. And
But they're focusing on what Paul and others want first, right? So they're willing to, I mean, whatever I said, whatever Paul tells you guys and gives you.
And I got to say something that Richard said about, half an hour ago, which is the two departments of table games and surveillance are coming together, man, and they're assisting with.
When you put together that amount of casino experts from different parts of the country for 3 or 4 days, it is going to be.
I remember back when my friends went to conferences about game protection, they came back with a whirlwind of knowledge. It was unbelievable, all the knowledge that they had.
So listen, we got Richard Marcus, the founder of the Global Table Games and Game Protection Conference, right back again, Las Vegas, Nevada at the Sahara, April 24th through April 27th. And we have Mr. Paul Mollo, Vice President of Table Games at Pechanga, Hina Reed, the lovely Hina Reed, who will be also co-hosting this year's event, and Miguel R, Cheques Play Casino Podcast, former Chief Gaming Officer, all here together again. And I got to start off by saying this, Richard, if you don't mind. The burning question, if you recall last year, you guys had already done the conference. Hina and Paul were co-hosting. One of the first things I asked you says, are you going to do it next year? Meaning this year. You said, nah, I'm not really sure. So I gotta ask you, did you like wake up in the middle of the night after you mistakenly ingested Valium instead of Viagra?
that Viagra mishap on my part the last time we all met here. The reason why I decided to do this again, contrary to what you all might think, is that I couldn't miss a second opportunity of being with Paul Mollo again. and of course, Hina Reed. I mean, who would not love to see her again after meeting her?
So, Paul, you were very excited about the conference last year, and there was a lot of play on artificial intelligence. There was a lot of new games play, and then now you're going to have more game protection segments in there, I understand. Is that right?
I'm telling you, man, I don't know how we're going to fit it all in, because last year was action-packed. This year is going to be crazy. And we were just juggling between those two conference rooms, and it was just, it was almost, I mean, I hate to be an audience person there, because I wouldn't know which one to select, go back and forth. Some people actually, there's two people that came per property, they split up and, each took a conference room, and that's how crazy it was.
As Paul said, last year, it was wild, and there was a lot of diversity, a lot of great topics, AI and game protection and everything like that. And this year, we're going to add some new facets, one of which is leadership. We've got two renowned speakers that are going to speak about leadership, morale in the casino industry, how to motivate your casino people in all levels of all positions, all levels. They will be Deborah Nutton, who is kind of a legend in herself in the casino industry, being one of the very first women to sit box at a craps table. Great experience. I mean, she became the executive vice president of Wynn Las Vegas. My first run-in as a casino cheat with a female craps dealer, and it had a very final outcome. So I'm not going to tell the story now, because I believe she is including it in her presentation. And that should be a guess, because it's a great story. And she appreciated it, of course. Fantastic. And then we have
Great.
Wei Edie, who at one time was a highly placed executive with MGM Resorts in different departments in table games operations. And she now is a coach, trainer. A lot of her clients are casino companies. So those two ladies who are really going to dazzle this thing up right off the bat, because they're two of the first three presentations, and they're going to tell us all we need to know about the leadership in casinos. And I think that's a great topic that needs to be looked into. We will hear it from the best.
Yeah.
Now, Nick Ippolito is doing something that has never been done, as far as I know, in the casino industry conference world. He is running a panel, which is really different, and he is combining it with table games people, i.e. Paul Mollo, and player development specialists. Okay, so you're going to have a panel there, and there's a marriage between player development and table games too. And what Nick was really identifying was a really big hole or weakness in that table games operation, because they really were like, Nick would be bringing players in, and the table games people who were, kind of ignorant to how to run player development were more or less chasing out by inaction more than action. Chasing them out into other casinos because, they don't know how you treat high rollers.
It's all about learning, right? And sometimes, we have some really great hosts out there, and even Nick can testify to that as well. But we also have ones that they would really like to learn the operational side of it. So I think what Nick is going to do this time is going to make huge strides for table games and for the protection of it and information, right?
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait, Richard. I'm excited, man. This is going to be great. April 24th through the 27th, right?
That's correct. And I would also, speaking of new things, I'd like to mention something else. Benny Mancino, we all know Benny, and he's going to be doing two different presentations, one at the workshop, where he's going to actually show us how to protect our casinos from ourselves. That should be quite interesting. I want to hear what he has to say. And the other is going to be in the main conference, where he's going to speak about the silent killers of table games revenue. Now, also coming to the conference as a speaker is his wife, Renee Mancino, who happens to be an attorney with a lot of gaming knowledge. And she is also the chair of the Ohio Harness Racing Association. She has a lot of fascinating stuff to add to this conference, because she's one person who knows both the racing industry and the casino industry really, really well. And she has ideas of how the gaming industry can learn from the practices of the harness racing industry in many different areas, not only in the table games side, the analytics side, but also in security and surveillance. So, that is something completely different, and also, I believe, a first of its kind type presentation. So, we have a lot of speakers who were there last year, and we have a lot of speakers who are new. And in total, we have about 45 speakers, whereas last year we only had about 34 or 35. It's looking really, really well, and we're only 2 months, a little more than 2 months out. We're getting there.
Hey, I wanted to add too to that marketing piece with Nick, and there's the other side of the coin, which is I tell my table games team, all the time. I say, look, we are marketing. We're not table games operations. We're not just going through the paces of all the operating parts and pieces of it. We're actually marketing as well. And I give an example is, there's mail out pieces that everybody gets, and I always say, how long does that last before it hits the trash or recycling bin? Maybe 4.5 seconds, and then there's telemarketing. You got these people calling, and nobody wants to be called anymore. And how long can you keep somebody on the phone? 45 seconds. Correct. And then you as dealers, the face of our business, and as floor people, you have a captive audience for 45 minutes. And that's, every PD and marketing guy is so envious of that. And that's why we gotta be marketing. We gotta gel these two departments together. Like you said, that'll be a great panel. That'll be really
true.
Nice.
So true. What will we see different this year with artificial intelligence? What do you think we'll see?
I don't think you will see that much difference. I think you will see more improvement into what's already in existence. I mean, you want to talk about AI and facial recognition? I mean, we have it covered. We've got Sanja Goyle coming back. We've got Matthew Klaus. I mean, this year we've got Kiran coming. He's coming to the conference. You're talking about three guys, not only with tons of knowledge, but tons of personality.
That's awesome.
And also money laundering. Money laundering, a big thing in casinos. We've got Benjamin Floyd and Derek Ram coming to speak together. They're going to do a dual session. You know, these are top experts in that field, and that's another thing that's growing along in AI for defending casinos. Money laundering is a big factor in American casinos, and a very interesting part of Derek's and Benjamin's presentation is going to be they're going to teach us about the unwitting participants in money laundering scandals in casinos.
And one thing with money laundering, Richard, you can try to defeat it and you can curtail it a little bit, but there is always going to be there. It's always going to be there because there's ways around it. I mean, you can start like in Las Vegas, for instance. You go with $100,000 and you start at one end of the strip and you buy 1,000 a piece, and then you come around the other one, and then you wait a couple of days and you go and change it back. And, you know, even though they know you're going to get away with some of it.
Curtail it, reduce it, but you can't stop. You really can't stop anything. I mean, even AI can be beaten. It can be beaten, not by many people, but it can be beaten. For me, casino, as great as AI and FR are, the biggest weakness in casinos is right now and always will be that people depend too much on the technology. And once that happens and a guy like me or my old self walks into your casino, you're in a lot of trouble because of what I just said. Because if you take control, if the cheats and the money launderers and everybody else take control of the people on the floor, that really almost renders everything else useless. And I believe that, and I'll believe that, and I'll always believe that until somebody can show me an AI operation that works really, really great, and the people are terrible, and they have a successful defense.
There's always somebody always willing to do something.
You know what? Something that kind of Richard talked about last year, and that was the word vultures. And yes. They're always there. You can, and as you guys just said, you can curtail them, you can kind of reduce it, but you're always going to have that threat. You know, it's your, you know, whether it's, you know, money laundering or it's counterfeits or it's just advantage play or it's just all out cheating, you know, switching and or snatch and grab, you name it. There's a whole host. And that's why I love this conference, because it just covers everything. I mean, we get something for everybody. If you don't get something out of this, then man, you know, I don't know. You know, if this is your, basically what I should be saying is, if this is your you know, career of choice, if this is where you plan to be in the casino industry, you gotta show. You know, it help you succeed in life and in your professional business life.
And it's not just the customers that come in, it's our internal as well, to see some of the stealing or thinking that they can, you know, how can I cheat the system within your own internal, you know, customers, which I call our own employees. It was interesting to hear how some of the properties or how some of the speakers, they would talk about, you know, the employees and just an awareness of it, right? Because I sat there and went, there can't be this many, right? But then within my own world, within the slot operations world, it's like, you did not just do that. You really, right? And then having worked with so many casinos in my past life that you just sit there and go, I don't put anything past, you know, things that happen within our own employments. That it is true that some people try and get away with it. Some have, and some $650,000 later got caught. That's one thing that I loved about this conference as well. It wasn't just about the customers that we have invited or that are here to play, but it's also in-house as well.
Now, Paul, can I ask you this? The generations are changing and people are moving along in the industry quicker than we used to because the expansion of gaming. do you see that there's a lot of things missed with regards to game protection, or those things to be aware of normally, and that's why people need to be exposed to a conference like this here?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, and I'm not putting anybody down, but I mean, the California market is a little bit of a homegrown thing. And you'll find that in a lot of states, not just California, and outside of Nevada and New Jersey, Connecticut, you know, major jurisdictions. You find these casinos that are just vulnerable because the people aren't as trained as Hina would say. You know, they're not trained well. And yeah, I mean, again, there's so much in this conference that there's so much to gain out of this that it's to seek the knowledge to in these conferences is, yeah, you definitely have to do it. I mean, you gotta be there. So yeah, I mean, I see it a lot with the staff. They're untrained. They don't come from the regulatory environments that you and I did. You know, they don't really follow guidelines well. And that's where the vultures come in and get hit. Yeah. Big time.
That's where the chain is broken and you get taken.
Yeah. Richard, we commend you for this, man. I tell you, I really admire you, the fact that you did this, you took this on your own, and you had a vision, you had a dream, and it takes a lot. People will sit back and they'll comment, oh, you should have did this, should have did that, but that's how you grow, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to see how to get it better, and you bring on your team of people to support that you can trust. And so you're going to have your book there, Richard. You're going to have American Roulette there, autographed copies. You're going to,
Absolutely not. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to send everybody a copy of my ebook, the last book that I wrote, called Game Protection from Both Sides of the Table.
Oh, fantastic.
That's more relevant to what's going on than just the American Roulette book. It's just about all the great stories that I have to tell about casinos.
Good.
So I'm not going to do that. No.
Definitely, I think it's going to be a success. We wish you the very best, and hopefully
Thank you.
It'll be something that you can do every year.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
I can't wait to see you both.
So, Richard Marcus, Global Table Games and Game Protection Conference in Las Vegas at the Sahara, April 24th through April 27th. We're going to be there.
Be there or be square.
Amen.
Do the YMCA.